Yes. Oh, just riding around looking for some clean water. Do a little spearfishing in, and check this thing out. I don't know how long this thing's been here. I don't think it's been here too long. Wasn't here last time I was out. But I was driving along way back and I was looking, I was like, is that a sport fish? Like 10 feet off the shoreline? And sure enough it is. Old wore out boat. I don't know. I'm gonna try finding another spot. But maybe I'll come back here and play around a little bit later on. What we got there? No big ray. But anyway, while I've got you, I am riding around looking for some clean water. Got a spear gun and I've got a wetsuit, so it's a little chilly, not bad. And but the water is definitely still cold, so I'm going to try to do better than last time and try not to freeze to death down here in South Florida. Last video. All right, let's ride around a little more. That big sunshine come out, warm it up a little bit. We got decent visibility here, all things considered. We're not looking for clear Gulf, you know. We're not looking for clear water like you're gonna get out in the Gulf of Mexico. This is stained water, but I'm seeing some fish darting off here and there. We can jump in. All right, well, got a long, slow incoming tide, and it is bringing in some clean water here. So I've got my wetsuit finally. Make this a little bit more comfortable than last time, but got a deep cut here. There's a nice sheephead right there. Bunch of little fish in here. So let's jump in and see what we can get. I've already got fish left over still from those two big sheephead, so I'm gonna kind of just be picky. I'd like to find a nice snapper, and you know, if not, I might take a couple sheephead if I can't find any snapper. But let's get in there and see what we can do. There's cold water. Alright, welcome back below the water line. The water was a little more murky than I had hoped. It was a slow incoming tide, but it was coming in. But you can see there's a lot of little microorganisms floating by here, which those are the building blocks of life for the harbor, so gotta have them. There's a little more nutrients in the water than there used to be, though. You'll see these big tumbleweed looking, like right there, pieces of like red algae. Those, some of them be gigantic balls of those hanging off of oysters and different things. But anyway, got to take the good with the bad, I guess. But here I am. I poked my head underneath this. There's a large mangrove tree. Used to be a lot bushier and a lot bigger, creating a lot more shade before Hurricane Ian stripped it all back, but some of the base is still there, and then there's a cutout underneath the mangrove tree itself. These fish are kind of filing in and out of. To my right, there's a little Goliath grouper there we just passed. We'll see a couple more. And just look at all these fish. Beautiful, beautiful sheephead population, spadefish. We're going to see redfish. 3 or 4 at least Goliath grouper, real nice sized ones, not the giants, but fun fighting size, perfect eating size too, but can't do that. Here is that part of that kind of like caves, cavernous cutout underneath this mangrove. There's a Goliath right there. Look at that. Had to be careful today, not wanting to misfire and hit one of those, because they got really curious. They're really cool. They keep coming up towards me and kind of eyeing the flapper on my spear. But here he is underneath, just sitting there. My friend who told me about this spot a couple of years ago, that's the fish he said he loved to come here and target, was actually Goliath grouper. And I'd yet to catch one, but I'd yet to swim in it as well. So sure enough, dunked my head under there for the first time, and he was right. At least 3 or 4 Goliaths living underneath here currently, sharing space with all these sheephead. Again, I still had some meat in the fridge. I wasn't out for a huge fish kill, but there's no catch and release with spearfishing, so you got to take something home. And when you pull the trigger, you've harvested that fish, so make sure they're big enough to keep, because they look bigger than they are underwater. These sheephead look like absolute monsters underwater, and they are. They're full-grown big sheephead. But I shoot a really stud one last time. Here's a redfish. Look at this redfish right here. Nice red. I thought it was a dinosaur sheephead, and then you get them out of the water and you realize it's a big sheephead, but it's not a world record. So be very careful when you're spearfishing. Make sure you take a fish that's well over legal size. So all I'm doing is just hanging on here to the branch. Didn't have my weight belt. I'd assume it's about 8 feet of water here, and just holding on in the current. Here I found a jig. If you get your hook stuck in the trees, you got to go get it out. Even if it breaks off, you can't leave it there. It tangles up the birds, kills stuff, makes a mess. Anyway, back underwater here. Here's a little bit of a close-up. The water's still murky. Springtime's coming, it'll get cleaner. Sorry about the visibility, but this is inshore Charlotte Harbor diving. This isn't, the Bahamas. Look at these spadefish, though. I was going to take one of those since I had sheephead in the fridge, but I didn't get a good, clean look at a real big one. These were kind of smaller. Definitely, I could have took one. But I was just looking for one fish. I really was looking for a big snapper. There's not many snapper in right now. There's a school of mullet. But I am going to stop talking here and pull the trigger here in just a second. But it was just so cool just seeing all this life. As always, I always say that, but just getting in the water. Now here we go. I'm going to take this sheephead, and I missed. Swing and a miss. He started to turn. I thought I was going to have a good, broadside shot, but he just continued turning. And let me see if I can show you that instant replay here. So watch, he starts to turn to show me a side, but then he just kept curling around right as I pulled the trigger and missed. Pretty bad shot, actually. Totally missed. Stuck it right in the mud. So reload, reset, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt in the water, which is the only place you do reload, but makes you want to make sure when you pull the trigger you hit your target. There's this Goliath. There's 1, 2, 3, and the sheephead are coming right in my line, and here I don't want to miss like I just did, and instead of sticking it in mud, sticking it into a Goliath grouper. That would be a nightmare, having to pull him in and rip him off and let him go. So trying to be careful here. No more misses. But those Goliaths, they just they own the place. They're not afraid of me. They come up to me a little bit. It seemed like they came up a lot closer than what the camera is showing. A couple of them, it seemed like were coming 2 feet away from my spear, but I don't know, maybe I didn't have the camera on at the time. But a lot of good fishing here, a lot of good spade fish. I fished this spot with shrimp, and sometimes you catch fish, sometimes you catch a few fish, but it's usually smaller fish, and I think right now maybe they're spawning these sheephead, and spade fish are tricky. They don't always bite. Hold on, I think I'm going to shoot here. Is this the one we're looking at? Seems like he wants it. Now he's right in line of that Goliath, so I can't do it. But the fish that I end up taking had a large spider crab, and that he was choking out. So definitely spider or crabs are the way to go if you really want to target big sheephead. And shrimp work too, but you're going to get a lot smaller fish as well. You're going to get a lot of pinfish, a lot of snapper, a lot of bait stealers, a lot of reeling in and casting out. Mangrove crabs, mud crabs, the best baits for sheephead. And spear fishing works as well because you get to pick the one you want. I think this is the one I want. Right here. Sorry, I'm just... There it is. Came right up next to me and perfect shot. Kind of a gruesome shot. Would have liked to have stoned him, but got one. Oh man. Well, that was cool seeing all those little Goliath grouper. Try not to miss and hit one of them. There's a few bigger ones I was looking at, but not bad. Pretty gruesome shot. Blew his eyes out, but anyway, throw him in the box. Definitely wearing this wetsuit helps a lot, but still starting to get cold, but it's bearable. Well, I'm gonna head back over to that boat. I want to swim around that sunken boat, see if there's anything hiding underneath it. And there's a little lagoon back there that should be really warm water, and hopefully it's deep enough now with the tide up, and maybe I can shoot a mullet in there. Well, this was a little bit of a disappointing swim. Maybe as it warms up, there might be a little more activity, but it was still pretty cool to get to swim around the boat and peek my head underneath. But I thought for sure there'd be at least a couple fish here hanging around the running gear. It's a little shallow, but there was nothing under here. What a mess. Bilge is completely full. This thing was a total dump before it sunk. What the heck is that? Big old aluminum beam. Oh. It's too bad you can't take these and sink them offshore a lot easier. Just sitting right here rotting away, leaking oil. Well, there ain't no fish under it. Little schooler. I think they were sergeant majors, maybe a little baby sheephead. I can't tell. Couldn't tell, but well, it was enough fun. I got one sheephead. Gonna have plenty of meat on him. I think I'm gonna jump into some dry clothes. All right, let's get this bad boy cleaned up. See, he's got some spider crab he's been eating. I'm gonna try this piranha made by Mr. Twister electric knife. These sheephead can be a pain in the butt to clean, and seen Captain using this a couple days ago. He said they work pretty good. Decent for the money, is like $40, so let's give it a whirl. Well, kind of get some taking used to, but work with all that row. It's going to take a little bit to get used to it. The blade is very long and flexible. With the whole knife, it's just really long. So you're wanting to put it down on the table and it's getting in the way, so you got to come down here. And you got to work it very slowly. I thought it would just kind of just slice through it like butter, but it's not. It actually it will do a lot of the work, but you got to just move it very slowly. So I'm gonna have to get used to it. We'll give it a few more tries, and then if I still don't like it, I'll throw it out. But I think it's gonna be all right once I slow it down a little bit. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. Beautiful morning. Only took one fish, but that's all I needed. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on the next one. What I do is take the carcasses, all these birds wanting to choke out on them. So just dump them right here where they can't get to them, because here they come. Get out of here. And down they go for the crabs instead of the birds.